Welcome to another episode of Stories That Connect, the influence of brand storytelling. I'm your host, Nicole Lavelle, the founder of Ellison Marketing. At Ellison Marketing, we specialize in branding, digital strategy, and community building, empowering female entrepreneurs to tell their stories and grow their brand. Today, we are diving into the world of video, going from screen to being seen. And we have our special guest with us, Roshanda Pratt. Coach Ro is a highly sought after communication strategist, content producer, media expert, author, and speaker. She is known for her expertise in elevating brands. Roshanda excels at transforming hidden gems into prominent, celebrated figures who are seen, heard, and paid. You go, girl! At the helm of the Rep Network, which she founded, she leverages 2 decades of hard-earned insights from the television news trenches to empowering leaders eager to amplify their voices. Coach Ro is considered a vocal champion for entrepreneurs who can no longer remain silent about their brand. Ro and her husband are creating beautiful stories with their 3 children in South Carolina every day. Let's welcome our special guest, Coach Ro. Hi.
Hey, girl. Hey, I'm so excited to be here with you and to have this conversation.
Yes, I am so excited too. Video is so important. And so when I was thinking about this topic for the podcast, you were like literally the only name that came up. I'm like, what guest can I? Okay, no, it has to be Ro. I have to have her on.
No pressure.
Well, look, I'm glad I was about to say you are synonymous with video. You were like, oh. So I just introduce yourself. I know I gave you like this beautiful introduction just now, but I would like, just our audience to kind of hear from you. Why is video so special? And just tell us just a little bit about yourself and how you got to be the queen of video. Because that's my new name for you, queen of video.
I appreciate that. One of the things that my bio doesn't talk about my journey and how I got here. So it really started in the 4th grade. My mom and dad are from the beautiful country of Trinidad and Tobago. So shout out to all the Trinis who are watching this. And in the 4th grade, my dad told me, as an American citizen, as the Yankee Doodle of the family, he said it was my duty and responsibility to know what was going on in my country and my community. So while my friends were watching the Smurfs and Saturday morning cartoons, I was watching the news and I was learning about Reaganomics and the Gulf War and all these things. And so my dad planted this seed of being insightful and really journalism in me. And I didn't know at the time, because growing up, there wasn't a lot of women who were on air in the main anchor chair, and there wasn't a lot of women of color until Oprah Winfrey came on the scene, Connie Chung, another game changer. And when I started seeing those women, and by the time I got into high school, a friend of mine said, hey, you like to talk a lot. So we are doing a campus newspaper style show, and we would love for you to come on and be a part of it. And that's when I learned that you can make a career out of being a broadcast journalist. And so I started that journey. And what I learned in working behind the scenes as a television news producer is that pictures and words together make the perfect marriage. That 80% of your audience right now, those who are listening to this right now, 80% of your audience rather watch a video than read your blog. The other 20% are reading blogs. So the people who are writing blogs, don't come for me. The written word is still important.
Love that.
But the data doesn't lie, that there's something that happens when people see a video, something that happens where people connect to video, because it's the authenticity, it's the storytelling, it's the graphics, it's the words on the screen, all of the things. So I became an early adopter, Nicole, in embracing this live streaming. At the time there, before there was short form video, there was live streaming. And I started on an app called Periscope. I'm taking it back to 2015. And when I started on Periscope, I just started sharing what I know, which is TV, how to pitch the media, how to tell a better story. And what people don't know in those early days of me starting on Periscope is I was uncomfortable in front of the camera. I didn't like my voice. I didn't like how I looked on camera. It was very uncomfortable. It was very awkward for me. But I just knew I had a message that I needed to get out there. And when Periscope gave us the capabilities of live streaming through our phone, through our smartphone, it was just a total game changer. And I knew that this was going to be innovative. I knew that this is where the industry was going. I didn't know all the details, but I knew that this was something special. And so within 30 days of Periscope coming on the scene, Nicole, you ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
1 million people downloaded the app. First 30 days.
Wow.
But here's what I knew. A lot of people didn't know how to use it. So there were a lot of people who were lurkers, and there were a lot of people who were just scrolling, a lot of people who were just trying to figure this thing out. I was one of those people as well. But I had my television news experience to kind of help guide me and lead me as I was becoming more comfortable with my voice and becoming more comfortable on camera, which is why I'm a big believer. If you are on your 9 to thrive, listen to me, friend, it is not a waste. God is not a waster. So you are learning things while you are there. And I am amazed even now sitting here with you on this podcast and talking to you that I have been able to leverage what I learned behind the scene to put me on the scene.
Oh, snap. Okay. Look, I'm over here literally making notes. Save that gem. Let's save it. That's amazing. Everything. And literally, you just dropped some key nuggets that we are going to talk about on this podcast. I feel like this is really important because you're saying things that people are literally probably thinking to themselves, not understanding how to repurpose their skills. Because that's really, like, I love how you say your 9 to thrive. You're really taking those skills that you're learning to get to your next step, to get to that next
Yes.
level.
Yes.
And everything that you're saying about being uncomfortable on camera, I can personally identify with that. I'm sure there's a lot of people that can identify with that. And so sometimes because they're so uncomfortable, they're just like, you know what, I'm gonna opt out from doing it. I'm just not gonna do it. I'm gonna figure out a way. I'm gonna be the blogger. I'm gonna figure out how to send out my emails. But with every brand has an identity. Every brand is visual. And if you're a personal brand, the identity that people are looking for is you.
Correct.
It's going to be you. So I think that this topic is so key because hopefully when people hear this, they're going to be encouraged to start to be seen, to show up. So I'm just so appreciative about hearing about your background and even with Periscope. Now, let me ask you, you started to see what was going on, 1 million downloads. Did you then back then start thinking, I need to show people how to really utilize this platform? And is that kind of what led you to where you are today? Were you that forward thinking even back then?
I think I was forward thinking in showing them on video. It wasn't until I received a challenge from Dr. Tawana Ross, who said that you're an expert when it comes to live streaming and you need to write a book. I never looked at myself as an expert. I just looked at myself as a person who knows enough, but I would have never ascribed the word expert. And isn't it amazing to have people in your life who see you before you really see yourself, right? This is why it's important to have coaches and mentors and a brain trust of people who see you beyond how you see yourself. So she challenged me to write a book, and we did, called CEO of Live Video, which is how to produce and think like a producer when it comes to your live streaming. Again, taking all those things that I've learned 20 years working behind the scenes as a television news producer. And when that book hit the scene, it was like, okay, people were already asking me to come and speak and train their groups and those kinds of things. But the book gave me another level of authority and credibility, right? And so the book became an Amazon bestseller within 24 hours. And people were just like, hey, not only are you showing up on camera doing these things, now you have an authority in this book. Can you come and be a speaker? Now, remember, I was still building this brand, The Rose Show Live. I was still getting comfortable on camera. Now we have a brand recognition and now we have a book, while I was still working my 9 to thrive, while I was still at the TV
you were
station.
Still working.
I was still working.
Wow.
And it wasn't until, so it's so funny. My husband and I joke about, those early days, I was a speaker on the weekend and a producer Monday through Friday, and after a while, this started to grow into something. And I remember my husband was driving me to Florida to speak at an event. And he said, I really think you should bet on yourself. And I'm looking at him like, well, what do you mean? He says, I think you should leave this job. And you have to understand, I loved being a journalist. Didn't so much like the stories we covered all the time. Didn't so much like the work hours. Didn't always have holidays off. But I was not in a career that I hated.
Right.
I loved being a journalist. And it's something that I desired since the fourth grade. And honestly, I wanted, once I saw Oprah, I was like, okay, I'm going to be the next Oprah. I'm going to take over her job, right? How many of us said that?
Both of us. That's us. That was me
right.
Too. I even wrote her a letter to let her know how I was going to take over her job.
Take over her job. Yeah, I'm the legacy. And to hear my husband say that, but I knew I was onto something. And he said, I don't know all this is. You know, you go pray about that, work that out. But I'm just saying there's something here and you need to bet on yourself. And I did. And I have not regretted rolling the dice and betting on me. And that's really another part of our message in helping women and a few brave men that we get a chance to work with to understand that you have to bet on yourself because you know what you're capable of doing. You know what you're going to do. And it's like, put all the chips on the table on yourself and just do it. And while family members didn't understand, Nicole, while some of my TV colleagues made fun of me, while people in my city were just like, you know, this is dumb. People even told me, Roshanda, this live stream thing is a fad. It's not going to last. But as an innovator, I knew, Nicole, that this was not a fad. I knew that this is where the industry and our world was heading. And so I've said this before to your group when I've had an opportunity to train with them, is I just built my arc because I knew rain was coming. And I did not know rain was going to be the form of a pandemic in 2020, and that I was already prepared, but many of my people in my industry and was not prepared. And so the people who talked about me had to go buy my book. The people who were just like, Roshanda, you told us this, but we didn't listen, had to book a strategy session and had to now help their business, their ministry, whatever, transition into the digital space. We made six figures in a pandemic because we just knew what we believed. We held true to our vision and we were prepared where everyone else was trying to catch up.
Wow. That is so encouraging. I don't even know, like I was trying to find, like, that's the word. It's just encouraging because a lot of people have been there. I feel like, of course, I have my female group, my divas in the Diva Club. And, you know, we talk a lot about betting on ourselves, and some of them still, like, they're doing their 9 to 5, but they also have this business that is becoming something or is something. And a lot of times we're just afraid to take that next step. But I love that you were in a very visible industry, right?
Yes.
So sometimes people, I've ran into a lot of people, oh, I can't talk about my business until I leave this job. And I'm like, well, what are they really going to do? If you were working a second job for someone else, you'll be quick to say, yeah, I have 2 jobs. But when you are building a business for yourself and you're still working your 9 to thrive, yeah, I'm going to totally take that, love it. We're afraid to talk about it. We're afraid to put it on LinkedIn. We're afraid to let people know that we're doing something on the side. So I love that you, not only were you not afraid, you were uncomfortable, but you was like, let me get comfortable. Let me go write a book. I'm gonna write a book and it's gonna become a bestseller. Because these are things that people do all the time.
Correct.
So I love that you are kind of just sharing that, and hopefully that encourages anyone who's listening or watching this podcast to say, you know what? I need to take this as becoming something. I need to bet on myself. I need to take it more seriously. I need to take it more seriously.
Nicole, let me just talk to that for a second. I want to encourage somebody because maybe you are working your 9 to thrive, right? And the couple of things, 2 things, if I can just encourage people real quick, right? Is number 1, your 9 to thrive is your first angel investor. They're your first silent business partner because that check that you make there is what helped me to develop the Roche Live brand. that helped me buy the equipment to live stream, right? That helped me to upgrade and invest in myself in getting a coach. So my 9 to Thrive was my first angel investor. The other thing that we have to understand is stories give permission. And what I've learned now since 2015 up until the present, while there were coworkers who talked about me, there were other coworkers who were watching to see how committed is she to this? And does Roshanda really know what she's talking about? And I can't begin to tell you, even now, how many former colleagues that I've worked with or people in the industry who know me through someone else who shared my story and my journey, who've inboxed me and said, Roshanda, I've seen how you transitioned your skills out of television to do this. Is this real? Are you really making 6 figures? Are you really doing these things? Do those people really pay you this money to do X, Y, and Z? Your story takes away the excuse that it can't be done. And so you have to understand that just as much as you're giving yourself permission, your story and your journey also gives permission to all the people behind you, all the people who are watching, because they're always watching. They may not comment, they may not say anything, but they're always watching. Your story gives others permission.
I love that. I love that. We need to make that into a bumper sticker. We need to make it to a bumper sticker. But I feel that because, and I can attest that that is true. So for everybody that's listening,
Mm-hmm.
that is definitely true. I've had that same experience because I left my 9 to Thrive, and I did the same thing. I was still working, but I did use, that salary to say, okay, well, let me go ahead and invest in my own little personal computer. Let me invest into
Yeah.
all different things. But fast forward, so I just celebrated my 3-year anniversary of Ellison Marketing. Yay! And I
Congratulations.
I appreciate that. And I get the same messages on LinkedIn. The congratulations. And some of them was like, I can't believe you're still up there on your own. Because it's kind of like this mythical thing almost for them. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
you really leave your job? And there was a few people that said, well, I'll see you back. Well, we'll see you when you come back. And I'm like, I don't plan on coming back.
Yeah.
That wasn't my plan.
And if I come back, you're going to be a client.
Thank you. Thank you. And guess I had the privilege last year where my previous employer hired me as a contractor to come in and do training.
I love it.
If we walk away with anything, today's podcast, so lessons learned, I don't think I've ever shared that story. I don't think
Mm.
I've ever shared that story. Just how it felt to be back in those doors, to be back on the floor, literally with my team, but it was a little different. They had some new hires and all this other stuff, but to
Yeah.
be able to come back and looked at us as an authority on, okay, design and how to do presentations and, basically how to market themselves within, the company. It was very, I I guess I was really happy about it. It felt rewarding. It felt like full circle. So
Wow.
I definitely, for anybody that's listening, it does happen. And when you leave, they look at you and they're like, wow. And there are going to be some naysayers, but there's
Yes.
always watching. And you are 100% about, and it'd be the people that you least expect. And then they'll be the people messaging you. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying thank you. Like, or then I've been thinking about starting a business. Do you think I should? So I've gotten a couple of those too. Like I'm
Yes.
starting a business. So yeah, you're so right about that. So I'm hopefully we've encouraged someone to
I
just
hope so too.
believe in themselves. All right. So I want to make sure that every time you and I talk, I just feel like it's like we're catching up, like old girlfriends. We're just
I seriously, I agree too. I'm just like, man, where's my coffee? This is amazing.
I know, and I was like, and I can't believe I forgot my coffee. Like it's literally another room, and I'm like, okay, I need my little cup. So when it comes to video and
Mhm.
brand storytelling, I think that if we were just to make a sentence, yes, you need video to tell your brand story. Well, boom, yes, a lot of people know that. But I want us to kind of have a conversation about how crucial do you think that is, especially in this day and time? I feel like every time we open up Instagram or in really any platform, I feel like every platform is making changes and tweaks, and it's all very strategic. If you really look at the different changes that different
Mhm.
platforms are making, but everybody's kind of pushing towards that same thing, and that's video.
Yes.
Period. That's video. Even down on LinkedIn, I am literally trying to retrain some of my divas in the diva club that this is not the resume building app that you think
Correct.
it is. And so I want us to kind of talk about like how crucial is it for the modern brand storytelling times we live in right now? What do you think is, and we could just, just kind of flow with this. Talk to
I
the
think
people
that's
about
such a great question because I believe what's happening is we're going back to what connects us as humans, what knits us together, and it's storytelling. Facts tell, but stories sell.
it.
And if you look at your DNA, right? DNA connects to story, right? They ask you your family history. So if there is a history in your family of, diabetes, right? More than likely, they're looking at that because they're thinking of that was a previous story that's going to impact your current story.
Yep.
So even in our chromosomes, even in the science of our body, it carries story. And so I believe why video is so prominent up there is because it gives us the capabilities to digest stories easier, right? It's the visuals, it's the storytelling aspect of that, all of those things. But the other reason why I think it's become so dominant is because of AI, right? Everyone is using artificial intelligence, and I am not going to be that person who's like, poo poo on artificial intelligence. I am not that person. I believe that your human spark with AI equals a winning team, right?
Yep.
But because there's so much of this people being led by artificial intelligence and really not using their humanness to drive it, that there is a primo on authenticity, vulnerability, transparency. All of those things are the new currency.
Yep.
And how are you spending that when it comes to increasing your visibility? And so when you understand that, you authentically show up on video, telling your story, giving a tip, sharing some insight, sharing your thought leadership. And so when we understand those things, that's really what makes up a really great video. And I think that's why video is continuing to dominate, especially long form video. What we're doing here, that's dominating because you can only learn so much from someone in 15 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, right?
Even
But if
90.
I'm
Only so
right,
much. It's
only
only,
so much.
yeah.
But if I am with you for a 20-minute podcast or a 30-minute live stream, now I'm getting the meat and potatoes versus just an appetizer. And so
Yep.
that's why long form for me will always be Bay. Yeah, I said it. Long form video is Bay because I can take that long form video and that's 20 minutes. I'm going to give you a content tip right here. Get your pen and paper out because I'm about to
Yes.
give you the goodies.
Good
You
job.
can take a 20-minute long form video. You teach on your thought leadership for 20 minutes on any one of your live stream platforms, favorite one. You then download it, right? And do you know you can take that 20 minutes and create 7 other pieces of content? This is what we do in TV. I want you
Yep.
to understand the gurus who are talking to you about repurposing, the people who did it first were journalists. You
Yep.
want me to give you an example? And then I'm going to go back to the tip. Here's the example. You watch the 5 o'clock news about the penny tax, and it's a minute 30. It's a long package explaining to you what the penny tax is, how it impacts your community, and how you need to vote on it in November. When you tune into the news at 6 o'clock, it's now a VOSOT. Oh, what's a VOSOT, Roshanda? A short form reel. So now it's some video over a soundbite of someone saying, I can't believe that we're spending this much on a penny tax and I'm fed up of it. Coming up at 7, we're going to show you some of the projects that this penny tax will help you. See, it's one story that was big at 5 o'clock, and we just broke it up to several different pieces along the news journey process, all the way up to 11. And at 11 o'clock, it's going to be a longer story, but this time the reporter is going to be standing out at the roadway where the penny tax is supposed to help. See how that happens? And so when you take your 20-minute video and you now put it into an AI platform like Opus Clip, It will now take that video, edit it for you into short form videos. You may get 3 or 5 out of that. So now you take those short form videos and you feed it into YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook Reels,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Then you take that same 20-minute video and you're just like, I could turn this into a blog post. Now you write it into a blog post. Oh, you know what else? I could turn this into my Sunday newsletter. I have a Sunday newsletter that goes out. So now I could take some of this content and turn it into a newsletter. Oh, you know what? I shared 4 bullet points during this broadcast. You know what? I could turn that into a carousel.
Yes. Yes.
You all are working much harder than you need to be. And this is why I tell people, think like a producer. A producer is going to take one story and we going to milk it for everything it has in it, because that is working smarter, intentionally, and not harder. I just gave you guys the keys to the kingdom. I'm just saying.
Yeah, she did. She did. And I look, I'm like, I'm sitting here. So like, even before you said it, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's about to break down how to repurpose content. Because when you're, and both of us, I don't know if I ever told you this, we both have journalism backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So, but I was not on the producing side for as long as you were, but I was more like writing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let me get back to the point. The point is the repurposing content is almost like when you have backgrounds like us, you understand how that is the key to the kingdom, period. Long
Mm-hmm.
form content is going to be your content plan. And a lot of people, I literally was just speaking with a business owner, female business owner, and she's struggling with content video. And I'm like, okay, you have your own course. I literally just watched you come up with 4 15-minute videos. I said, do you know how long 15 minutes is a lot? As I said, you have
Yes.
your content right there. And so I heard you mention Opus. I use the script. So it
Mm-hmm.
so many different platforms out there that can literally, you can put your long format video in there
Yes.
and it will use the AI, and you can literally either ask it to come up with the top 4 clips. You can tell it, hey, I want you to find the clips where I am giving the best tips, or where I'm giving the most inspiration, or whatever it is. You can tell the AI what you want to look for, or you can allow the AI to pull out the best clips for you.
Yes.
That's a game changer, because then you're not sitting around worried about, oh, what 15-second video am I going to post next? Because that's, to me, micro thinking, right? It's not, as we used to say, I was in advertising for a long time, and they were like, okay, but what is the big idea? So what is
Mm-hmm.
the big strategy? And if your bigger strategy, your 20-minute videos, 15-minute videos, even sometimes like you said, a 30-minute live stream, that's going to give you a huge indication of what your bigger strategy is.
I
Anything
love that.
talk about for 20 or 30 minutes, that is the core of your business. When you're struggling
Love
to
it.
figure out what you can say for 15 seconds or 7 seconds, it's going to keep you in the minutia of trying to keep up with trends. Oh, what
Mm-hmm.
doing this, or everybody's doing that, versus what is my business about? Who do I serve? How can I help? And when you do those 20-minute videos, if you're talking for 20 minutes, you're excited. You know what you're talking about, and you're focused on your expertise, right? Because you got to talk for a long time. So
Yes.
that, to me, is how you're going to be able to show up, and show up well, and show up strategically. So long form content, I actually literally just made that switch in my business. So
Mm-hmm.
see, like podcasts, and I'm like, okay, I got to do these YouTube videos. I had to stop and think, what gets me excited? What
Yes.
do I want to be known for? What can I talk about for 20 minutes over and over and over and over again? And I finally niched down to that, like, oh my God, this is what makes me excited, right? So, yes, I hope you guys wrote the formula was there. Take those long format videos and break them down, guys. The long format videos is where people are going to be able to really connect with you. That's where you're going to get the most storytelling. And Roshana, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I feel like when you're talking longer, that's when like your anecdotes come out and your personality.
Yes.
Like, I mean, let's talk to that. Like, so I really want to break down the walls of people being fearful of long format video.
Oh, I love it, Nicole. This is so good. I'm over here. You guys may have saw me, if you're watching this on video, kind of lean over, because I'm literally taking notes off of this that I'm just going to I'm going to go do a video today about this. Here's the thing. Two things I want to highlight. Yes, I believe that when you do long form content, what happens is you do get your antidotes. But what happens for you is you start to build up this reservoir of information in yourself. Gary Vee said something at a conference about 2 years ago that I was speaking at. And Gary Vee said, if you are researching your thought leadership of your topic of choice, you are already losing.
Oh, let's repeat that.
I tell my clients all the time, I was like,
can you repeat that one more time?
Yes.
Yes, for the class. Please repeat it one more time.
If you are researching your thought leadership and your expertise, you're already losing. I tell people all the time, you don't need to research what you know. I don't need to research TV. I don't need to research how to create content. I don't need to research how to tell stories. Yes, I may do maintenance where I'm reading books about those things. I'm reading books about communication and how to become a better communicator. That's me maintaining what I already know. But I have 20 years experience. You have 20 years experience in advertising. Someone else may have 20 years experience in sales. 20 years. I think about my friend, Deb Porter, who's a mom coach. She has over 20 plus years experience of raising dynamic children.
Yeah.
What is she reading a parenting book for? She may read that for maintenance to see, okay, what's going on, the culture, the trends in parenting, right? But other than that, there is something that you have that no book can teach you. And that is your experience and your journey. But the reason why we don't lean into that, and I think the reason why we don't repurpose our content, Nicole, is because we don't see the value. And we have fooled ourselves into thinking people saw that already. I don't need to say that again. And not understanding, you ever watch the news 2 days in a row? We told you this story last night at 5. Today we want to give you an update.
Yep.
Yes. Last night we told you at 11. It's recycled things. It's updates. It's come on. It's repurposing the content because it's still a story and it still needs to be told. But we think somebody saw it once, and you're not understanding that people need to engage with your stuff at least 7 times to even get what you're saying. And you're just saying, going like, I put it out there once and one and done, and not understanding, no, you need to keep saying it again, not just for the people who are listening, but you need to say it again for you, because the more you say it, the more you have a conviction, the more it becomes your thought leadership, the more you become an expert in it. And now it's in your fiber and your DNA, and you can't stop talking about it because it's a part of who you are.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Gems. So many gems. Okay. So I'm sitting over here. I'm taking my own little notes too. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Dynamic. When I say I was so excited about having you on this podcast, I've been looking forward to it.
Same.
I was so happy that the date that we ended up landing on, I have the house to myself. It's like one of those. So when you work from home and you have multiple adults working in the same home, it's like,
yes,
quiet but not quiet. And I'm like, oh, I want to be able to just be myself on this podcast and just be able to be as loud as I want to or whatever. So
I love it.
So excited. All right. Oh my goodness. I just think I got so much excitement. I'm like, did I lose my thought? But what you said about value and what you said about repetition. Now, someone having to see a message 7 times, that goes across so many different industries, right? Journalism for over 20 years, like you say, me, advertising and marketing. And when it comes to advertising, we have that beat in our heads. A person has to see a message 7 times before they make a decision. And we're not even talking about a purchase. We're just talking about a decision. So that's why you see the McDonald's of the world or Chick-fil-A of the world. These businesses make billions of dollars off of us, right?
Yeah.
Do you see them cutting their advertising dollars? Do you
not at all?
And we're not going to have commercials. I mean, there is repetition. We need to remind you that we are the best chicken sandwich out there. We need to remind you that you need to come here because you do have so many options. And so just because you said it once, it's not going to sink in. And so I tell people all the time, think about your own personal habits, your own personal decision making. And when you really stop to think, even when it comes to shopping, before you make a purchase, especially if it's something that you want to spend a little money on and buy a little money, I mean, in these days and times, anything over $10, right? In these days and times, like, oh my God, the eggs are $10. So, you're
right.
I want to buy a pair of shoes. What do? Oh, you might start looking at the reviews. You're gonna start there first. Then, if you're like me, you're gonna put the image into Google and say, "Oh, I want to see what it looks like on other people." Oh, did that celebrity wear these shoes? You are going through all these different stages, and then what happens?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're searching those shoes and they have good advertising dollars, then you see the banners pop up on the side. They're like, "Ooh, look at this shoe! Don't forget." Oh, you
Yes.
email the next day. Oh, you left something in your cart. I don't think you really need any more time to think about it. And so it is on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Have to treat your business, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to treat your business like it's a big business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Period. So, repetition, nobody's going to remember, and let's just keep it real, what you said yesterday.
Yeah.
You yourself can't even remember what you wore yesterday. Why do you think these people out here who's getting thousands of messages all throughout the day remembered what you said yesterday? They're only
Mm-hmm.
going to remember what you said yesterday if they are consistently hearing what you're saying every day.
That's
Period.
so good. Nicole, I'm going to add one other thing to your analogy. I love your analogy. You know what else we're doing in that process? We're also telling ourselves a story that if
Oh,
I wear these shoes, they're going to make me look taller. If
yes.
I get these shoes, I mean, there's going to be a certain level of status. You're telling yourself a story. This is why storytelling is so powerful. That while you're doing the reviews, you're also in your mind telling yourself a story. While
Love
you're
that.
sitting there doing the search to see what this looks like on somebody else, which I never thought to do that, which I like that, by the way. You're telling yourself a story. Well, if it looks like that on her body shape and body type, this will probably how it look on me. We're telling ourselves a story. This is
Yeah.
why at the end of all these things, the fight really is for the message.
Yes. Yeah.
All said and done, it's
Yes.
about the message. And every single day, we're being told a message. My favorite Native American proverb says this: those that tell the stories rule the world.
Yes. Period.
Ready for this? Those that tell the stories rule the world. Here's the thing about that proverb: it never said the story had to be truthful. It just says those that tell the stories rule
Yep.
the world. And we
Yep.
can see all from on air to online people who are telling stories that are not necessarily truthful, but they're
Yep.
telling the story and they have dominance.
Yeah.
If
And we're
you're a
seeing
truth
that.
teller,
Yes.
if you're a person who's authentic and you know that you're the real deal, I want to really encourage you to start showing up to tell the stories that's truthful to drown out the lies.
Mm.
We need facts over fiction.
Ooh.
We need facts over lies. And the only way we can start to drown out the lies is if you show up with the truth.
Mm. I love it. I love it. And with that truth, especially when it comes to video, and I think a lot of people when they think video, we're kind of stuck with social, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stuck in that frame. But when it comes to speaking the truth, to me, that is the sister or equal to being authentic, right?
Yes.
So think about some of the stories that you connect with the most or that you remember. It's usually the stories of from this to that, stories of triumph, stories of this is how I overcame, which means that at one point that person was humble enough and authentic enough to share where they were in their journey. So sharing your journey, it's really beyond just saying, "Hey, I want to show you that I'm making eggs today." All right, that's cool. Well, everybody's doing that. But really being authentic is being like, I want to talk a little bit about why I started my business and where I am now, and this is what's going on. And, you know,
Mm-hmm.
hey, this is how things are affecting me. Because then you're opening the door for somebody to say, "Oh my goodness, this is happening to me too." And I couldn't believe that this is happening to you because I see you on Instagram and I'm putting you up there. I see you on
Right.
YouTube. And one of my favorite people to follow on YouTube, Vanessa Lau. She is
Yes. Oh, I
very
love some Vanessa.
I love her too. I
Oh,
feel like we're friends, right? She's never met me.
I
She
know. I met her
responds,
in person. Let me just tell you, she is absolutely adorable. Vanessa, we love you.
"We
We
love you,
absolutely
Vanessa."
love you.
Yes. All right. Make sure I shout that out in my description because seriously, love Vanessa Lau. But what I love about her videos and really about her journey, she burnt her business down and she's
Yeah.
building it and she's talking about how things are changing. But one thing, and that I'm noticing, she's had some serious life changes, right? Like family
Yeah.
changes, like things are changing for her. But she's starting to speak to that in so much of her content. And
Mhm.
I feel like she's likely very relatable to that person who might have been on the scene, been that single person, always into the content, and now moving into when you get married, it's a little different.
Yeah.
Having kids is a little different. You have to really balance your time differently. You have to show up a little bit differently. You cannot show everything that you were showing before. You can't have a camera with you
Mhm.
24/7. It's and so she's talking about those things. And so I relate to it because I'm in that back half of the life stage. I started in content creation well after I was married and right before my journey with my son. And so I just think that that truth telling is so related to being humble enough to really like open up and share with people what you're going through. It's not
Yeah.
always sharing the stories that sound good.
Correct.
And I think that's sometimes what we see. We see the prettiness of social.
Mhm.
And I don't mean pretty people, the pretty stories. The pretty
Yes.
things they're telling us what they want us to know. And so I've even been guilty of that. Like I'm like, oh, I can't post this because and slowly, and it's been a slow thing. I've had to overcome, like, okay, I can share this even though my hair is out of whack. I can share
Yeah.
this even though like I don't feel my best. And maybe I need to talk about the fact that I don't feel my best. I need to share that I had to take a break. One of my last posts, I didn't really go into detail of like, okay, but I did post like, hey, it's been a while, but it's been a reason. And I recently I found out that I was going through depression. I didn't know I was depressed. I had to go to a therapist and
Wow.
find
Yeah.
out. And so I started to braid that stuff into my content and literally, I get people right. I was going through that too. I didn't know. Thank you for sharing that. So like I just think that truth telling is
Powerful.
is what they mean by authenticity.
Yes.
That's truly being authentic in video and just
N-
being able to share that.
Very powerful. And I what I love about this is going back to just keeping it human, right?
Yeah.
People want to see not just your glory, but they also want to see the gory. And when I say that, here's what I mean by that. I lost my sister friend to a terminal illness
Yep.
almost 3 months ago.
Yep.
And I was very honest in the fact that I was mourning the loss of a very dear friend of mine of almost 30 years. And when I was sharing that with people, just having people part of my community who were making it a point to check on me, who were making it a point to encourage me, because at the end of the day, that's why we're doing this. It's not just for sales for me. I want a community. I
Okay.
want just as much as I want to be seen and heard. I know people in my community desire the same.
Yep.
So, what I hear you saying is when we do the truth telling piece and we're authentic, we're now bringing people into our community and into a deeper relationship.
Yes. Yep. And that to me, and I know we're talking about video, but just in general, but that is the power of like truly building a brand. But to me, that's leading more into like that emotional branding.
Mm-hmm.
Bigger businesses, I mean, they do that
Yeah.
in their own way. They start to build the community. You gotta think about how many brands who, yes, they're a brand, like you said, yes, it's about the sale, yes, you spend money, but you see yourself really caring about that brand and what they're going through and how can
Yes,
I donate and oh my goodness, they just started. We see bigger brands do this all the time, and we're
for sure.
invested in what they do. So even more so for us personal brands, like you said, we got to keep it human. People are going to care about what we're going through. They're going to want to be a part of our community. And we are
Mm-hmm.
truly building community through our brands. We're
Yes.
building that community through our brands. And people want to connect and stick with you when oh, I think I'm sorry. I just had this thought. It was Vanessa again. She's in my brain. She made a point about friendships and
Mm-hmm.
how that aligns with like your business, right? And
Yes.
her point was about niching down and maybe how sometimes that can hurt you, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
down too much, you end up building these friendships, building these communities with people that only have one thing in common with you. But when you're really truly building friendships and really truly building community, you have a lot of things in common, not just one thing. And so
Yes,
even
that's good.
when things move and change with your business or move and change with you, move and change with your brand, those people are still rolling with you because they weren't just showing up because of this one thing.
That's so good. Yes.
Yeah, thanks to Vanessa. I can't even take no credit. But, like that is why people want to show up because they see themselves in you and they feel that connection. And so, like, even you and I, like, we feel that connection because we both like been in each other's communities, but we follow each other. I remember when that happened with your sister friend, and I literally felt it in my heart.
Yes. Thank you.
And again, sorry for your loss. I went through that like, oh my gosh, the fact that she's still showing up. I was just proud because I have someone like that in my life. We
Yeah.
realized like, oh man, we've been rolling since 1994. It's been, you know, over 30 years, it's been a long time. And
Yes,
that's family. That's
it
family.
is.
So,
Totally.
but to hear you share that, I was just like, wow. One, she's stronger than I am, and two, I felt that. I was like, oh man, I really feel bad that she lost somebody that's
Thank you.
important to her. But that's the kind of community I feel like we should be building through video,
Mhm.
making those connections, building that community. So thank you for tying it back. This is why we had to do this podcast together.
I
Slash
love it.
therapy sessions. Everybody's like, oh, I feel like I went
Ex
to therapy.
exactly. I
Yes.
mean, I'm meeting my therapist today, but I'm just like, man, I already got a precursor already. This is great.
I get so I know that with LinkedIn, okay, we're gonna bring it back, right? You are a powerhouse on LinkedIn, okay?
You're sweet. Thank you.
I literally, for those who don't know, you can look up Ro on LinkedIn. She does LinkedIn learning. Literally, she is my shero. I am trying to get there, trying to get there. So you talk a lot about thought leadership on video, and
Mhm.
I really wanted to just, for everyone who's thinking about using more video, I think just from this conversation, hopefully the takeaway is I need video to connect. I need video to build. I need video for community, right? So people can see.
Mhm.
But when you're stepping into that thought leadership role, and we started it a little bit when we were talking about your book, how that was like the
Yes.
next level, right? So
Mhm.
how can you build your thought leadership through video? Any strategies, anything that we can take notes on, anything you can suggest? If that is the plan for you, like if you're a coach, you're starting to get to that point where you're asked to be a speaker, or you're thinking about writing that book, how do those two connect, and how can you use video to really grow your thought leadership?
I think one of the things that we have to, as thought leaders who want to really leverage video, is that we have to have a conviction and not just be convinced.
Mm,
There's a difference. You talk about Vanessa Lau. We talked about Gary Vee during this podcast. When you think about Mel Robbins, anyone who has a big platform, any level of experience, Jamie Kern Lima, Ed Milet, Oprah Winfrey,
yes.
right? You think about all those people, they have a strong conviction and therefore they share their convictions. And what I think is we have people who are convinced, like, I think this may be a good idea to share this, but
Yeah.
this is not their conviction. When you hear Oprah talk about the things that she talk about, when you hear Gary Vee talk about entrepreneurship, listen, he has a conviction about that, right? He has a conviction about how you should be showing up on social media, whether you agree with it or not. So I think one of the things is with our thought leadership, we have to have a conviction about it, even if it goes against the grain, even if it goes against what everybody else is saying, even if it goes against popular opinions and ideas, having your conviction and being okay with sharing it. And along with that conviction, really diving into storytelling, becoming a better storyteller. And one of the ways that you can become a better storyteller is listening to other people's stories.
All right. I love that.
Open up your notes section and start capturing other people's stories along with your own. I think so many times, Nicole, we live life, but we don't remember our own stories and our own narratives. So we're just living the life, but not remembering in the fourth grade when my dad made me watch the news, in college when I had this experience, when I left my television news job. These are moments, but not understanding that those really are stories. So,
Yes.
what's the story that we need to be sharing, right? And so, taking out your notes section and gathering your own story, but also gathering other people's stories. When I hear a good story, I'm not just like, oh my gosh, that's really great. No, I'm putting that in my notes section. I think about, her name's escaping me right now, but she went viral recently. She was inducted into the Women's NBA Hall of Fame, and she was talking about her mom said that she was a better storyteller than a ball player. And she told the story of the three frogs,
Wow.
right? And I'm thinking about that and I'm like, wow, that's a great story. I'm going to put that in my arsenal. Why? Because then when you're on social media and you need a story to
Yeah.
tie to your conviction, you can share your story, or you can say, there was a women's NBA player who recently talked about blah, 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 blah. And then you could tell that story. And so I think we need to become more convicted about things, have a strong conviction, and then take that conviction and marry it to story.
I love that. Was it Maya? What's her name? Maya? No.
Maybe it was.
I was trying
I
to, I'm listening because I'm like, this is an amazing story. And then I'm over here like, let me try to research it.
Yeah,
Let me try
yeah,
to
it's
figure
on
out.
social media. It was just, he told us, it was great. It was a really great speech.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to look it up. I think it was like one of the first things that popped up. Maya Moore. So
It may be. I think it is.
okay, I'm gonna have to ask
Yes.
my husband because he loves the WNBA. So okay, so that's amazing though. That wow. And I now this is a tip that I just wrote
Mm-hmm.
down about other people's stories because sometimes when you're listening, like and I think I have told you this before, you are an amazing speaker, right?
Thank
But
you.
one of the things that makes when you speak, the one thing that makes it so good is your use of illustrations and analogies and being able to name drop and say this speaker said this speaker said that. Who would have known that you were taking notes of other people's stories, right? So if
Yes.
taking notes, this is another key gem. This is the note. Go ahead and write it down, right? You have to start documenting your story in others because then you can start to see yourself in other people's stories. You'll remember those stories and it'll come up in those moments where we really need them. So I love that because now I can say, oh, I remember when I was on a podcast with Coach Roshanda and she helped me to remember,
Yes.
how to start weaving in other people's stories with my own. As you're
Correct.
speaking with other people, that's amazing. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when a lot of people, when they go to speaking events and different things and they walk away, oh my God, I was so empowered. She did this. Oh, she said this. She said that. They're retelling the story that you just told them, right? And they're
Correct.
remembering these key moments because you said something that was relatable.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was memorable.
That's it.
You got to say something that's relatable so it can be memorable for other people. And most of the times it's that storytelling, it's that analogy, like even how you say, hey Nicole, I'm gonna add on to your analogy, yeah, or add on to this illustration. Like you have to insert these things in order for people to remember because you're doing something that's different than everybody else. Everybody else is just either telling their dry story or
Mm-hmm.
they're just stating facts. And you did mention
Yes.
earlier.
Correct.
You don't want to be a fact teller. And
Mm-hmm.
I fall on the sword. That's me. When I think about video, I'm like, okay, well, what fact can I share today? Because I'm a natural teacher. I want to teach.
Yes.
I want to train.
Mhm.
I want to
Marry
show.
the fact to a story. So even if that's your bent, when I say 80% of people would rather watch you on video, then how do I marry that to a story? Well, when I started my video journey, I wanted to know if that was really true. And I came to realize that when I met people, they said, "Man, I really enjoy you on camera." Wow. You see that? So it's like if you're going to use a fact, let's marry it to a story.
Love
So
that.
that means that fact now becomes living because now I have a story to marry it to.
I like that. All right, I want to work on that. Look,
Yes.
taking more notes. So I'm like, okay, let me pull out my notes section. Who would have known the notes section would have been this long? and then I think oh no, I use my Google Docs. Okay. Yeah, like a live and die by Google Docs. I have my notes section, but like I'll open up a Google Doc in a minute and I'll just start
I
writing.
love it. Me too.
I'll open it up. So that thought leadership, I'm just like really loving the direction all of this is going. I know we don't have that much time. So let's talk about the money part just real briefly, because I know that
Okay.
thing we talked about, if you are really listening and if you do the things that we talked about today, honestly, it's going to lead to the dollar, right? I mean,
Correct.
be clear.
Hmm.
People are going to get invested in you, they're going to follow you, and then they're going to either start asking the questions or you're going to be able to slip it in. Oh, and I use this to achieve this goal, or this
Hmm.
made this transformation, right? Transformation stories, that's another story. So
Yes.
talk about what you're doing with your customers and your clients, but say it in a different way. You don't just have to state it factually. Oh, they were able to make more money because they worked with me. No, talk about the transformation that they made.
Yes.
She went from being a mom of three who was frustrated and sad because she had nothing to do while her kids was at school all day. And so she met with me and I helped her to discover inside of her like this whole new business. And now she's thriving.
Hmm.
Like that's the transformation you want to hear. So that's just like
Yes.
a sidebar. As you're talking about what you're doing with your customers and your clients, talk about the transformation. Because that will
Hmm.
lead itself to you telling yet another story. So monetizing your story though, let's just get down to the nitty gritty. Yeah, we all want to make money. It's great to share the story, but we all want to make money.
Hmm.
So what are some practical ways we can take our video and turn it into business opportunities?
Sure. So I'm going to give you three. And these are things that I leverage and do. So I know one of my major marketing tactics, if we want to use the word tactics or strategies, is being on video, right? If people engage with me on video, they're going to want to do life and business with me. So I use video as a tool to get more speaking engagements, right? In those early years of doing Periscope, and getting speaking engagements that were coming to me. I wasn't even applying to these speaking engagements. And we still don't apply to a lot of our speaking engagements that come to us. It's either repeats, recommendations, or people say, I watched your video. And if you're talking to yourself, because they believe I'm talking to myself, if you're talking to yourself and you're that engaging, you are giving that much value, oh my gosh, what would it be like to have you in the room? True story.
Wow.
So you can leverage video for speaking opportunities because these event planners are online and they're looking for people. You can leverage those videos and turn them into courses, right? When I think about my first book that I wrote, CEO of Live Video, that was not the book I was going to write. I was going to write another book. And then I got some instruction during my prayer time and realized, well, this is what people are asking for. And so that book, that first book, was written by all of the live streams that I did, teaching people how to use live video. So I took those live videos and the information that I did on a live video and put it in a book.
Yep.
And that book made money.
Yep.
So you can take those that content, turn it into a book, turn it into a course that you sell. Right. And that's another thing that you can do. The other way that you can leverage video too is that you can use video to open up a door for you to do podcasts and TV appearances. So I know people right now who charge to be a guest on podcasts, and it works for them. It works for their business model.
Yep.
For me, I do a lot of TV appearances. Why? Because I've done TV appearances and it's led to clients and it's led to speaking engagements, which is more opportunities for money, right? Or to monetize what you're saying. And the other thing is using that same live stream to sell a product. So not just sharing your thought leadership, but to upsell people into your group coaching, your program, your services. You can use video to become an affiliate marketer. So if there's a favorite microphone that you like, glasses. So for a long time, this company, I was an affiliate of theirs for a very long time. This backdrop, anything that you love that you use, you can now become an affiliate marketer and people watch your videos, they love it, and then you can go tell them about it. So there's just a couple of ways that you can monetize your videos.
I love that. Thank you for bringing up affiliate marketing. It's literally become one of my best friends. That that is a great way for you to truly make passive income. And everybody's like this
Mhm.
buzzword, and everybody wants to make passive income differently. But these companies are built on this is, oldest time marketing. Let somebody else talk about me, right?
Mhm.
And then I'm going to pay you for talking about me. And
Yes,
we recommend things to our friends all the time.
we do.
And it's so natural. It's not a sales pitch. We're like, girl, have you tried this? I mean, I think about my sister and I literally just this morning were texting each other back and forth. She was like, let me see that desk you just bought. Okay. Because I got a new desk and I was like, okay, I need help putting it together. This is my cry for help. Please
Yeah.
help me put it together. But we were literally back and forth because we were on FaceTime, and I'm like, wait, where did you get this? She's like, oh, this diffuser is the best diffuser I've ever had, and it's way better than yours. I don't smell yours, and I'm over my house. So she literally sent me the link. In our everyday lives, we are
Yes.
constantly talking about why we love stuff, why we use it, why it's the best. But when
Mhm.
it comes to the things like you said, your microphones or like your desk or your background or whatever, your computer, whatever it is, then we're kind of like stuck. Well, how am I gonna market that? The same way you do everything else.
Correct.
Why you love it.
This is what I love it, and you guys need to go do it. You need to go. I mean, I did a video on my favorite timer. This is my favorite timer. And I love it because you can set it and then you could go 5, 10 minutes and it buzzes. And then listen, and it's yellow. Yellow's my favorite color. I did a whole video in my Facebook community about this. Everybody was like, oh, I'm going to go buy the timer. And I just dropped my link to my Amazon store and people went and bought the timer. Because I'm like, y'all, I do not use my phone for productivity because if I use my phone timer, I end up looking at my notifications, right? And you end up picking up your phone every time. And you can have your do not disturb on. But every so often we're just in, I want to pick up my phone. So when I put my phone upstairs, I use this to keep me on task. And it's yellow, my favorite color. It makes me happy and it makes me productive in
Yeah,
my
well, we're
office of
gonna
yellow things.
get that link so we can drop it, so we can have it to drop
I
below.
will.
And that's like me. I finally have gotten to that place where I'm like, okay, I need to talk about my favorite things, not just with my close friends, right? But start, like you said, just so easy. Tell people why you love it. So
Mm-hmm.
I talk about my email and sales platform to my friends. My mom even know about it. My husband like, oh, are you using Kartra for this again? Because I love Kartra that much. And I'm like,
Yes. I
so
love
one
Kartra
day,
too.
I love Kartra. My husband asked me, he said, well, I was looking on your social media and I didn't really see a lot of videos of you talking about Kartra. It's like one of those. He's like, and I'm not trying to tell you how to run your business, but I
Boy,
think
called you out.
he called me out hard. And I'm like, well, I said, yes, hon, I'm gonna start. He was like, I really think you need to do that. Yeah.
Duly noted, husband.
Yes. So, there's my plug. I'm like, okay, if you want an all-in-one marketing platform and see, look, grow, you know about it too. Kartra's amazing.
Love Kartra.
I love it. And it keeps me, I love that I can schedule all these different things.
Yeah, and they're just good business. I love their. I go and read companies' missions and
Yes.
and that kind of thing. And so I went and read their mission statement, and I just love it. I love the fact that they send me a note to thank me for the payment, and every so often they send a card just saying, "We're so glad that you're part of the family." I'm like, oh my gosh, this
Yes.
is amazing.
Yes. And they're so nice about everything. I love
Yes,
when I get so I'm an affiliate for them. And so when I get my affiliate, they're like, we want you to say congratulations, you have a new affiliate payment. I'm like, you're thanking me for helping you, but
yes.
feels so good. So that's just going back to like they have their own story, right? And they are
Mm-hmm.
utilizing different parts of customer service to build brand equity in their brand for us to just we don't just love the fact that we get paid. We don't just love the fact that the service is amazing. We love the fact of how they were treated all the way
Yes.
to the email marketing. So that's like saying a lot to you. Like it's not just how you're showing up on video, but you want to make sure that once you hook somebody and they're engaged and they go to your website, they still
Mm-hmm.
are feeling that same hug and that love and that attention. When they get the emails from you, that they don't feel stale, flat, dry. You don't want your experience online to be the opposite of what people are experiencing when they see you.
Very good.
All right. And so that to me would be, I guess, another practical strategy that I would add on to
Mm-hmm.
everything that you just said. You want to make sure that your back end is good. And so that's why we love Kartra because it's helping us to show up and nurture people the same way we're doing with video, right?
Yes.
And you can still use that same platform to monetize your video. So when you talked about taking all of your videos and turning it into a course, I literally in my brain, when you're saying that, I'm like, oh my God, that is what I did going into year 2 of my business.
Yes.
First year of my business, and I got a little burnt out. I was literally, because I came from ad agency where I had been at ad agencies for 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so I'm used to servicing a client. That was just what I was used to. So when I started my own business, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing marketing and branding. I wanted to get clients and I wanted to work with them one-on-one. But I was operating like an agency. Agencies have like 20 people on the team, right?
Yeah.
The client might
Mm-hmm.
only see 2 or 3, but there's literally like 20 little workers in the background doing everything. And it was just me. And I started off my business with like 5 or 10 clients, and it got really overwhelmed. Like I was overwhelmed after a year and burnt out. But I started going back because I will record every meeting. I use
Mm-hmm.
board, I will go back through all my notes, and I took that and I turned it into a course. And that's literally how I sold my course. I was like, hey, you don't have to work with me one-on-one. I took all my learnings and I turned it into this course, the Love Your Brand Again Accelerator.
I
So
love it.
I was teaching people how to love their brand just by literally going through the baby steps of like branding and then all the way through learning how to market themselves online. So that's how I built
So
my
powerful.
course. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
You just helped me to connect those dots that I did that without even realizing I had did that. I had taken stuff that I already had to turn into a course. So I feel like as business owners, we have more content than what we realize.
Mm-hmm.
And we just need to use it properly, especially our video content.
Correct.
Yes. So last thing, and then we're going to wrap up. What do you want to say to the people whose phone is full of videos and they haven't posted them?
Post a video, sis. Post the video, bro. Post the video. Listen, you have to understand it's not about being perfect. We embrace progress over perfection
Yes.
every single time. Let me say that again. We embrace progress over perfection every single time. I remember I posted a video that was less than perfect. Something was off. I was out of frame, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to post a video. And that video did so well. It did so well because it's the message, right?
Yeah.
And you can finesse the lighting, make sure we can see you, make sure we can hear you. Those things are important. But stop hoarding your gifts when your gifts were meant to be given to others. Don't be a hoarder of your gift, but be a person who gives out into this world more than they take and keep to themselves. So
Oh,
post a video already.
I
Post it
love it.
today. Post it today.
Okay, I hear you. Look, I'm going to start posting today. I literally
Good.
had so much excitement. I was like, okay, wait, I'm on a podcast. Let me control myself. I love the gym. I love the gym. And for even like a person like me, and one of the reasons why, guys, I want to be as transparent as possible and as vulnerable as possible, because when I look at Coach Rowe, you're definitely an expert in video. When it comes to me, do I know how to market myself? Do I know about branding? Yes. But I
Mm-hmm.
am a victim of my own imposter syndrome, right? So
Mm,
some of these questions is because I am the hoarder of videos. You will probably look at
okay.
my phone and be shamed, like, Nicole, why haven't you posted this? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm the overthinker. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
hoping that the person that's listening to this podcast, and you might be following me on Instagram or YouTube, or maybe you're reading my blog. Hopefully you're reading my blog. And I'm hoping that you understand that even for somebody who looks like they're all buttoned up and they have it together, and I'm using my quotations, that I'm still going through some of the same struggles that you are. I still
Mm-hmm.
struggle with the perfectionism. And so I needed to hear that. I'm still struggling with some of these things, just getting it out. Just go ahead and posting it, even if the lighting is not as good, or maybe your
Yeah.
eyebrow wasn't as perfect as you wanted it to be, or, whatever, because it's the message. People need to hear the message,
Mm-hmm.
and people need to connect with you.
Yeah.
They
It's
want to.
10% better every single day. If I commit to being 10% better by the end of the month, I'm 300% better.
Ooh.
10% better every single day. I'm not going to agonize over all the things that are wrong in that one video. I'm going to take one thing, and next time I record, I'm going to make that better. And then the next time I record, I'm going to work on thing number 2 and the next time I record. But it's getting to the point that I'm just going to be 300% better by the end of the month because I just decided to be 10% better today. I'm going to
Oh,
give my 10%,
oh,
and
okay.
that's enough.
Oh my goodness. All right, we're gonna wrap up on that. Coach Ro, I want to have you back on
Yes,
the podcast.
please.
There were so many things I had. I'm looking at my notes. I'm like, oh my God, there were 1,000 things I wanted to talk about, and we didn't get there. But I want you guys to have the takeaway that, what getting in front of your screen, getting in front of your camera is going to be that connection to you being seen
Mm-hmm.
by everyone. And, last thoughts, I know you've dropped so much wisdom, but one of your favorite words is visibility. And I think you said
Yes,
visibility is power.
correct.
Visibility is power. So just, amplifying your brand voice through video. What would you like to say, that final thought, and then definitely make sure you tell us how to follow you after you say that. Tell us a little bit about the visibility is power.
Visibility is power. You no longer have the right to remain silent. Your silence is not golden. My friend, you deserve to be seen, heard, and paid. Show up today because there's someone who is waiting on you who are their solution. You can follow me on Instagram at The Rose Show Live. And I love to hang out over on LinkedIn at Roshanda E. Pratt. Make sure to check out our book, CEO of Live Video, second edition. And this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you, lady.
Oh my gosh, you are welcome. And thank you so much just for being on here, for being so encouraging, for getting me so comfortable to just be so transparent. You always do it every time. So I love
You're
it.
welcome.
Everyone, thank you for listening to the Stories That Connect podcast. I cannot wait for you to catch our next episode. And remember, you can also follow me at Ellison Marketing on all platforms: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. And Ellison is Nicole spelled backwards. Okay, so I spell it the Nicole. Guess, guess the face. Yes. Yeah, there's a whole story behind that we have to get into, but I wanted to use my name, but not use my name. So ELOCIN at Ellison Marketing. Thank you so much. And I cannot wait for you guys to listen to our next episode. Bye. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, and drop a comment. Stay tuned for our next episode. It's one you don't want to miss.